How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this lesson for Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles. The Eagles' drum parts are almost always the definition of playing for the song. They don't get in the way, but there's always just enough spice in there to keep your ears interested. So let's break it down on the kit, and I'll show you what I mean. To kick off this classic song, we've got a kick drum pattern that follows exactly along with the bass guitar. I'm sure you already know how it goes, but just in case, this is what it sounds like. Let me go slowly just from the fourth bar. 1, 2. There are a couple of quick kick drums in there. As always, I recommend lifting your heel up and using two different parts of your foot, so maybe the back of your toes and the ball of your foot, just so you can get two quick strokes without having to move your foot to make each stroke individually. Anyway, moving on, I'll play through some of the groove just before the lyrics come in. Now from here in the verses, I'm just going to give you some tools that you can use for the verses. So there's a couple of hi-hat sizzles and a couple of tiny little fills that you need to be able to play. But other than that, the groove stays pretty steady. So I'll show you these tools and then you can throw them in wherever you want. If you want to listen to the song and get it exactly perfect, you're more than welcome to. But if you have these tools, then you'll definitely be able to play something that sounds exactly like this song. So first up, we've just got a tiny little hi-hat sizzle on the end of 3. Another sizzle that sometimes happens is on the end of 4, so that would sound like this. And then there's a tiny little fill that happens quite a lot, and it's just 2 snare drums right at the end of the bar. So let me use those tools to give you an example of what the verse might sound like. So don't throw those sizzles in all the time, but every once in a while is going to mean that your groove is super tasty. As we move along, in like the third section of the verse, there's a couple of extra ghost notes, so that will sound like this. They're pretty subtle, so if you can't hear them or they're a little bit tricky, you can definitely just leave them out. And then into the fourth section of the verse, this is where we're playing offbeat hi-hats right before we go into the chorus. If you haven't done the offbeat hi-hat sizzle before, just remember you can concentrate on bringing both your feet down at the same time, and that will result in having a sizzle on the offbeat. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier if you haven't done it before. Moving on, we're into the chorus, which is nice and sparse, and we're just going to use a similar pattern to the very beginning in the intro. It sounds like this. That chorus is only short, and we move straight back into the verse using the same tools that I've already shown you. As we move into the third section of this verse though, it gets a little bit busier with a few more ghost notes, so let me show you what that might sound like. Then in the fourth section of the verse, we're using those offbeat hi-hats once again, and then we're into a chorus which is twice as long, so let me play through that for you now. Cool, so that's not that hard. It's really similar to the other bits of chorus that we've already done. We've just got a flam at the end of the fourth bar, and then at the very end of the chorus, that nice fill that just moves down the kit. Moving on, we're into kind of like a bridge section, and it's a bit of a guitar solo. We're going to use those offbeat hi-hats again. Now, I can't tell if the kick drum is actually as busy as it sounds. I think the kick drum is still playing quarter notes, and there's something else doing that. But I'll show you two ways to play it, just in case you want to catch some of that extra busy sound. So first up, just offbeat hi-hats, just like this. And then with a busier kick drum that you could muck around with. After that guitar solo, we move into a sparse section of the bridge. We're just going to start out with some crash cymbals, and then we're going to bring the backbeat back in on 2 and 4 with the snare drum, just like this. That fill moves us into verse 3, which we're just going to use the exact same tools as I've already shown you for the verses. And then we're into another chorus, which is a tiny bit different, so let me show you how that goes. The next part of that chorus is where the vocals get kind of like a nice washy phaser all over them, and we're just going to play a few fills around a couple of crash cymbals on beat 1, just like this. Out of that snare drum fill, we're going to go back into the offbeat hi-hat pattern we were playing before. Just the same, kick drums 4 on the floor, sizzles on the offbeats. We've got a couple of extra fills, so I'm going to play right through the outro, right before the guitar solo comes in. So I'm going to go 2 bars before the guitar solo and play you all the fills right to the end. play that up to speed in a second, but I just want to point out that those fills are really blocky, but in a very nice way. So we're usually playing like groups of 4 on the snare drum and then onto the tom, or from the tom down to the next tom, but it's all kind of 16th notes or 16th notes and 8th notes. So it's pretty straightforward and hopefully easy to remember. Anyway, let me play it for you up to speed. And there we go. That is at least the basic tools you need to play Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles. It has a great groove, so make sure you get right in that pocket and have a lot of fun with it. Anyway guys, happy practicing, and I'll see you shortly at the next lesson.